Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we have a HDA called the Material Path Editor, and this is used for making it easy to assign materials and shaders in Houdini. We'll look at importing materials using the custom menu to assign materials themselves. We'll look at visibility controls with the tool, as well as the lighting and rendering. Right, let's dive into this then. Right, so here we are in Houdini. I'll give you a general rundown of how to use this tool, and then we will look to have an asset together to show you how fast it is to assign materials and get your rendering set up using this. So first of all, we're bringing in an asset that's made in Houdini. I'll give you a quick run through of what it is. So we have a base asset for the character to sit on with some grass, rocks, and leaves. We then have a sword asset, which is modeled in Houdini. And then we have a character, which is posed with the sword, all combined and then zeroed out. And from this character geometry, we're pulling it into the Lookdev node here. So this is now a packed sort of geometry. So it kind of comes in chunks like this, ready to assign materials to each piece of geometry. Right. And then what will happen is you'll go onto this, and this will assign the materials based on your selection. Very similar to kind of how Maya works, as in we'll be selecting, hiding, and assigning. And what this tool will do is it will add a material tags to the actual primitive itself, and it will modify the path as well. So now you can see here, for instance, it says model group, base group, and it'll be a black plastic, green grass, orange leaf. All of these get added to the primitive path. And then in LOPs, the shader will then be wildcard assigned. All of these materials here on the right-hand side are brought in automatically from LOPs itself. So if I jump up to the lighting network and go to here, you can see if I render this with the XPU rendering and drop down to the bottom. Here we go. So you can see that on this material node here, these are all the materials that live inside this network. And this is what will be brought into the other tool automatically. And then what will happen is once you've chosen what the material is, it will come back and automatically assign the wildcards to each shader. As you can see here, white metal, black rubber, and then that will assign to the geometry itself. So if I jump back and go into the Lookdev, I can show you some of the setup. So let's kind of start from, maybe we start from a scratch one, so I can show you exactly how to do this. Jump it here. Right. So first of all, you want to plug your asset in. This is how the node will look from itself. In the setup mode here, you go to Material Library, and what you can do is you can grab this material library here from our LOPs network, and if you hit import, it will populate this whole list with all the materials that are on the outside of the shader library. And then what you can do is you can basically go through here and we want to set the gold up, for instance. So what we would do is maybe we go something like, amber and metal, and then that's ready for the gold. For the paint teal, maybe we can do a teal and then drop it down to kind of paint. And then there's a black rubber as well. So let's do this one, black, and then rubber. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the rest of these materials just so we have 3 of them, just to make it a little bit simpler. And these drop-down menus as well, they're automatically built using the configure here. So if you drop down this configure, you'll see that there's a JSON file here with the color, name, and then its RGB values, and then also the material type. So if you, for instance, wanted to add something else, what you can do is you can do, test, something like that. And then when you come down to the material, you can see that test gets brought in automatically. So it's quite a cool way for you to add your own tags specific for your characters or for your setup whatsoever. So now that we have this, let's start assigning. So we press enter to go into the tool. And then if you right click, you can see that the materials are automatically brought into this material palette here. So this menu. So we can choose gold and we can choose append. And now if you press S for selection, we can go here, shift select. Maybe we want some of the pads, legs like this. And then you just hit enter. And that's automatically assigned the shading for you onto this character here. We can right click and let's do paint, press S, shift, 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 something like this, enter, does that. And then the last one, maybe we do the black rubber, S, shift, 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 something like this, maybe the arms as well. Cool, so now we have this. There are a couple of features that you can use. So there's a hide, invert, and reset for the visibility controls. So this just works with regular selection. So if I wanted, for instance, to do these like this, I can hit hide, and that will hide them. Means it's a little bit easier to get into stuff and Lookdev and assign materials into kind of inside of pieces or get a better angle. So you can also invert the selection. So you'll have something like this, and then you can put a full reset. Also on each of these materials, you can see that in the drop down, there's a group selection here. So you can also set visible, which gives you everything that material is assigned to. And then we can hit invert. So we can now assign these guys to gold. So for instance, if I wanted to go into the tool here and press enter, drop down, I can add to this gold, for instance, but I can also do hide on assignment. So if I click this, when I press S, maybe we want the head, enter, that will automatically hide that asset. So when I hit invert, you can see that the gold is on that. Let me reset this. Another useful thing is this assignment here. If I click this, this will basically only show stuff that has material assigned to it. So now if I hit invert, these are all the objects that have no shader whatsoever. So that becomes really useful for when you're making Lookdev for material, and there'll be one or two items that you might have missed that have no shader on. You can use this one. And the clear as well will basically reset any of these guys. So that's about it. What I can do is if I reset this, there's some more functionality that might be quite useful. If we hit enter here, we can replace. So if I now press, I now want the gold only on these guys. I can do something like this. But we can also, so if I right click, bend S, put these guys back like this, you can also do remove. So if I S, click on this, will remove the shading. And this is all building these selection groups in this point here. So let's say I want this. Let's say I'm happy with this Lookdev for my character. What I can do is I can now export these wildcards that I've made and ready to be assigned to this character now. So if I jump into LOPs, what I can show you is if I go to the LOPs network here and go to the materials, currently the gold, teal, and black rubber already have the wildcards in. But if I remove them like this, so nothing gets assigned, and what we can do is we can remove the rest of these shaders from the outside. So now nothing is being assigned to this character. These are just the default colors that are coming in from the object themselves, no material assignments. So now if I go to the Lookdev here, drop this over there, what we can do is we can now hit export, and it will write these material types and colors to that library. So if I hit export now, what you can do is you can go to this LOP, and you'll see that it's automatically written amber, it's written the teal, it's written the black rubber, and now the Lookdev that we've just assigned is attached to this person now. So if I go on the XPU, you can see that this is now the Lookdev that we had. So now I'm like, oh, maybe I wanted to add, the helmet and the pads and stuff. And this is how quickly it is now to a Lookdev. I can jump into here. I can go enter. I can go right click, append gold, S. Let's add these. Let's add this. Let's add that. Let's hit enter. Now what I do is I jump out, go into LOPs, boom, and it's rendering. So it's a really quick way to go back and forth between your Lookdev and your model and to get everything working and how you want to do it. So the cool thing is as well, is because it's dynamic to your scene, what we can do is if we wanted to add more materials, let's say we add the rest of our materials here. What we can do is we can go into Lookdev, and all we have to do is import the materials, and you'll see it's added everything else in here, and it's still held all the selection data for the previous Lookdev that we've added. So what it will do is it will check if you've got the materials here already made, and if not, it will bring them in. You can also add your own. So if you wanted to add this default and add a test or whatever, you can always do that. And when you go into the tool now, if I hit enter and right click, you can see all the materials have been automatically loaded in from there. So that's about it. I think there's a material color. That's just kind of writing it to the CD. There's append to path name, which when you go on here, you can see that on path, if I untick this, it will be written to the path itself. You can append it to the name. So whatever the name of your geometry is, you can also append the color to that. So yeah, so that's about it, I think. Super quick way to Lookdev your geometry and render. So if you want to download this scene, I'll be adding this whole scene here. So you will have a Lookdev asset. You'll have this character and this sword and base to play around with. It will be pre-Lookdev with one of these, so you can see how I'm assigning it and where. Yeah, feel free to use your own assets. What I would recommend is packing it together with a path, so that you can select whole objects a bit easier, and then I just unpack when it goes into Solaris and Karma. Let me know if you encounter any bugs or anything. One thing I would recommend is if you're building all your materials, make sure you build your materials when you're not in the tool. You can press escape to come out of the tool, and then once you're happy with all the materials, then hit enter and start doing your assignments and stuff like this. Yeah, so hopefully this has been a good video. I've shown you how the breakdown. If you've got any recommendations or you think they could do with a little bit more or it's not working, please feel free to message in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.